if I may call everybody to order. So we're going to have a session on appropriately the missing link, right? From idea to reality. How do you convert a great idea into a great product that solves a felt need? Now, let me mention that this is a skill which is not easy to acquire. Because as inventors, as researchers, as people who are excited about ideas, we focus on ourselves. However, in bringing a product to life, what is extremely important is focusing on your target audience. That gap, how do you bridge that gap, is the missing link. And I say this based on my own experiences, because in addition to being an academic, one of the most exciting things that I have done is take our own idea from a laboratory idea to reality. And so before coming to India, before returning to India, and before starting to teach at IIM Ahmedabad, and now of course I've moved across the road, I used to teach at Purdue University in the United States, and for 8 years, this is something that is of real personal interest to me. And in many ways, I wish that we had had a session like this way back in 1999, more than 15 years ago when we started our company. By the way, I still sit on the board of that company. That company is now in the process of being sold. So I think I have lived through that entire cycle of having an idea here to seeing it, implemented, to taking it worldwide, and then closing the loop and essentially going through a sales process. But in some sense, of all the things that I didn't know, if I were to point out one, it would be this, which is how do you move from essentially thinking about excitement of an idea to creating real value that the other person, your customer, your target audience, feels, appreciates, and most importantly, is willing to pay for. Because if you don't have that, it is just an idea. It is a hobby. It may be a diversion, but it is not a business. Right? So it is fine for the laboratory, but it is not fine for the market. So how do you bridge that gap is what this session is all about. And so essentially the format that we will have is pretty straightforward. We'll have a short presentation of 5 to 10 minutes that will go over some details of a fascinating survey that was just carried out. And once that is done, then Professor Shrivastava, Professor Rajnish Shrivastava from NIT Hamirpur, and we will sort of conduct this session. We have several innovators, who won the innovation awards that have been celebrated here, who are in the audience, and they're sort of mostly in that corner, but possibly also scattered elsewhere. So we'll draw upon their experiences, but most importantly, I want this to be interactive. When there are no speeches here, we only want to sort of share our experiences and draw out your experiences, and more importantly, put some boxes around that so that there is some learning. We just don't want to do story after story, because at the end of the day, you will have no takeaways. But we really want you to sort of have some takeaways that actually make a difference. So does that make sense? So we'll have this presentation, then we'll basically have a dialogue, and then you can all participate. And we'll draw in our 10 innovators. Does that seem reasonable? Very good. And then of course, we have Sunil Parekh, who is deeply involved with the National Institute of Design with their NDBI project, and also with our own CIIE Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship here at IIM Ahmedabad. So he's involved with both of them and is somebody who's deeply a part of our venture ecosystem here. So Sunil will also pipe in. And then we have Kebati from the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. he will also share some of their learnings in terms of taking some of these ideas forward in a context which in many ways is very similar to ours, but yet there are important enough differences that we can learn, that we can significantly learn from each other. So therefore, we'll all pipe in, and so will our innovators, but most importantly, you should feel free to intervene, and we'll make it a dialogue. All right? Does that make sense? So we have, by my reckoning, 1 hour and 20 minutes, and we'll make full use of it. So let's start with the presentation, and the floor is yours.
Good afternoon all. Before I take the presentation, I will just show you 3 portals that we have created by now and the reason for getting this thing done. The beginning one is this platform that we created through a huge pool of volunteering students from different colleges across this country. The idea behind creating this portal was, everybody was excited about new invention, new things, new intervention for creating value. And when you mean value, not only value for money, but also value for many. The challenge that we faced is when somebody claimed that I'm doing something new, we just need to check what is old. So the idea of creating this portal was to create a repository of all the work that never got published, that never goes beyond the boundaries of libraries in one place. And by now, there are 200,000 innovation put together here in public domain, so that people can know what has been done. Then we'll move to this award one. So once we put together the projects here, around 0.2 million projects by 0.6 million students and thousands of teachers, we also want to recognize the value of that. So how do we recognize? Either somebody appreciate that and take it to each doorstep for usability, or some kind of handholding and mentoring. So we started, again, Dr.R.A.Mashelkar was the man behind this idea. He gave a talk in Sydney in 2008 about India, the biggest gift of India in 21st century, from Gandhi to Gandhian engineering, and from that we started this award function. And we have been awarding annually. This time the award will be at 8th of March at the President House, Rashtrapati Bhavan in Delhi. And 3 editions has been done, 97 teams has been awarded. So what we are going to share in this brief presentation here is the learning from that award winners. Because there are different aspects of the innovation value chain that we are looking at, how to handle these young people who are at their 19 and 20-year-old guys. So we analyzed these 97 teams whom we have awarded in the last 3 years in the perspective of knowing what happened to their ideas whom we awarded, what happened to those things who are promising at some point of time. So yes, this was what the award function was in 2014, and a bunch of young people across this country who were awarded there. The professors came from different institutions, right from Arunachal Pradesh to Tamil Nadu. Yes, 3,585 nominations came, and 212 university participated from technology and applied sciences out of 630 universities in India. So fairly covering all technology and applied science universities, and 539 total colleges. So we invited different policymaker think tanks to appreciate those innovators at various junctures, so that a patting in the back really matters a lot, these young guys. So Dr. Kalam came a couple of times, he met these innovators. Some of the innovators from this award got selected for something called Innovation Scholar in Residence Program in Rashtrapati Bhavan. Last year, they stayed 3 weeks as a state guest by Honorable President of India there. And the President Office connected them to different ministries, different companies, so that those products can be value added and taken to market. Yes, so I will share you a couple of findings that we found out by analyzing those cases here. So one of the things that we realized that many of the students having a very potential idea are not taking the innovation till the market, till the end. So they are doing prototype, they are doing proof of concept. And we try to look at what are the aspects. So is it a mentoring support? Is it a support so far as market access? Is it a support for financial aspects? Is it for policy and all? And we realized that the critical aspect is about a very seed level support funding, which is absolutely missing in this funding ecosystems in the whole context. So they told that when you represent it to various funding agency, they say that we can give you 1 crore, 100,000 bucks, but we can't give you 50,000 rupees. So the problem is when the guy needs a very small amount of money to go to the next stage, You are trying to give him money which he don't need at that time, but nobody is giving that amount of money which he need to go to the next orbit. So this was a significant point, that threshold gap really kills them significantly. And it also varies from point to point. And we found out that the little bit of pre-financial support and was a very, very significant point to look at. Then we try to look at the factors, what they are iterating and what kind of issues they're facing. And two major things they told again, the job security and job pressures and also parental and social pressures are really not letting them fly in their own way of getting things done. So what kind of motivation we can create so that they can be, one of the innovators here told that, once his father was very against him, why are you starting a venture out of IIT or leaving IIT Bombay and not getting the job? But the next day when the television channel told about him, I think it was a Maharashtra television channel, the next day father told, wow, we are doing a great job. So sometimes the kind of motivation that even the society demands for their kids, that also plays a very vital role. We also looked at the award factor. By the way, this was the first of such kind of award in this country to appreciate a polytechnic innovation or undergrad innovation at that time. And most of the people say, yes, it matters. So sometimes the argument it becomes in incubation valuation that awards are okay for innovators, but it doesn't make really sense for entrepreneurs. But here we analyze, they said, yes, at least that matters significantly. It pushes us to next level. We also looked at what they're doing after 3 years, after getting a prototype in place. And 48% of them, of the entire sample, have got a postdoc in Harvard and Stanford and MIT. So somehow the innovation has pushed them to go to a new big academic institution, and the innovation is lying there. So that has worked for a CB point or that part of thing. 48% of the entire 97 population, and merely 9% of them have converted as in successful enterprises by now, and 14% are in between. They have been a customer, but they have not been able to register a company because they don't know how to do that. And this is a very significant figure for us to understand what's happening in this country. And when we analyzed which are the universities they registered, they're all, the colleges in Ivy League, and most of them are in Harvard and MIT. So this was one point that we found out. Also, one thing that we wanted to know is what kind of synergy it happened if you have a faculty who is entrepreneurial and a student who is entrepreneurial. And we tried to understand what kind of dynamics, as you mentioned, you ventured out a company. So we wanted to look at how many of these kids, faculty really wanted to take it out. So we found out that yes, faculty were significantly interested, but only thing is they have their own limitation. They have to publish, they have to perform, they have to teach and all. But when we talk to the guides of the students at all these teams across the country, they told that yes, we actually want this research to go to market, but there are some factors which are really not letting us go down. So yes. So again, we try to understand, most of the states are now looking for their own innovation and entrepreneurship policy, supporting student startups and young startups. We try to look at how these young kids from different colleges look at the startup ecosystem in this country. We wanted to let them rate because they have suffered, they have enjoyed the entire process. And out of them, 64% people think that, the environment in the academics and the environment where they study art are also a significant negative catalyst in pushing their ideas off. So they feel somehow that it's not very conducive. It is a bit more academic, but it's not very significantly conducive. And few exceptional colleges and campus we tried in BITS and other, but they said yes, we have a dialogue in between and we benefit out of that. So here we try to look at how many innovators really want at this junction today in 2015. In 3 years, what is their mental status? Because when we did this survey in 2012, almost everybody wanted to go to market, make a product, get something value out of that, or a social enterprise at least. But now these people say there's a very, very significant output that came in this survey. Hardly anybody want to transfer the technology as a licensing tool. They say that we have invented, so there is a little bit of insecurity in the attachment factor with the innovators that's still there. But the most favorable option that they offer to us is, we'll be there in a company which will be found based upon the technology. Let us be a CTO kind of guy who will keep on innovating, and let there be a guy who will run my company. So this is an option that they are suggesting that we don't want to be either go out of the startup, rather we'll be part of the startup, but we don't want to lead it. Let some other ecosystem guys like a management kid, management school graduate, or somebody comes in at the ecosystem and then help us. We also looked at how many awards they got after this award we gave. And more than 10% guys at that time got more than 5 national and international awards after this award happened. And here we don't give monetary award, but there they got a huge amount of dollars in terms of international awards in MIT. There are a couple of guys who are sitting here who have got been appreciated in MIT, Boston and all. Significant, I think around 40% guys got at least more than 2 awards after that. I mean, these are the awards by corporates from Tata's, from GE, from 3M and all. So that validated in one context that nobody can say that, here we benchmark them in an academic perspective and market rates are different. So when a multinational companies take them to Silicon Valley and say, yes, your product has a value, that means that they're authenticating that, yes, the innovation has the potential. Yes, these are the awards they got in 3M, in GE, the president office. The charter minister called them. They met them what kind of environment we need to bring in universities so that more and more such kind of kids can happen. So honorable minister met them and the president also invited them to meet what kind of support system can be created. We also found out a very significant factor here, relationship and the outcome of the entrepreneurial students and faculty members. We saw that faculty more than 50% are trying to help the student to go to a level, to do research, to do innovation and take it to market. But we tried to look at the issues, who is the decisive factor between a researcher, guide, and we analyzed after 3 years where they stand. I think it is 25 teams having the product level. When they came, they were merely an idea and proof of concept. Around 22 teams, the proof of value level, they have a beta cost number in their place. Significant amount of at the proof of concept level. So here is a point from public policy point of view. How do you create this proof of concepts to a proof of value or a product? I mean, this is a significant chunk of people who need to be supported in that angle, and these are extremely high. And we also looked at whether they got funded for some point of time in 3 years. 78% no. Said that they managed through their own pocket money venture fund, and they tried to bootstrap it in their parents and other stakeholders. And when we find out those 22% people who got fund, we also were curious to know from where the fund is coming. So the interest was like this, whether there is an angel fund coming in, whether there is a market player playing a role, whether there are the private players who are interested in this thing. And the surprising figure was like this. Out of those 20 to 23%, even much of the fund is a public grant. So that means the market, the innovation ecosystem per se in the country is not very seductive, not very sensitive enough from the private sector even to approach these guys and got in. I mean, we have people from private sector who will definitely argue what are the kind of issues that we face. But we found out this is a very significant interpretation that most of these are grants or some seed support from, high net worth individual or something like that. So we took some remedial step how to do it. So we tried to create a crowdfunding mechanism to support them at certain juncture of time. We have done something successfully. We have recently started that. We also, in the entire analysis, we also found out that most of these innovators, like there are a couple of people here, they expected us to go and support them at their doorstep. Because, there is a guy who is here, he will explain his innovation also. He says that I want to set up the enterprise in my village in Simla so that I can create more jobs in my village. And there is an attachment, there is an emotional bondage for him for setting up an enterprise there. And if I call him to an incubator in IIM or IIT, he is not ready to go. So how do you deal with the new kind of mindset that the young people are emerging? So we thought of that, how do you create models so that we can support them there? And also one crucial thing that we found out of this analysis is, 4 years they go for the undergrads, then years for postgrads and doctorates and all. Most of these people demanded that can you integrate the support system of innovation and entrepreneurship right into the academics, right into the university systems, so that we can far better know when to fail, how fast we can fail, so that the risk mitigation part can be optimized. Because at the age of 18, 19, a young man failing is not that much of sense other than failing in 25, 26-year-old. So these guys say that can you integrate all these exercises that you do right in environment when you are studying there. So we try to create this, we call it as an online sanctuary model of innovation, because in sanctuary the chaos is inside and the order is outside. In incubators the order is inside and the chaos is outside. So what it happens sometimes, when you make people in the incubator too secure, they become vulnerable when they come out. They don't know how to survive really in a fighting environment. So we said, let them fight in their own location and get it done. And the last one was a very significant fact for the policy point of view. Analyze what kind of incentive they are looking on. Is it monetary individual? They want some cash hour. Is it monetary collective? Do they expect some incubation space, some co-working space, some labs to test? Do they expect some non-monetary individual stuff? I mean, recognition, citation. Do they expect some non-monetary collective incentives, some group award, a batch of 2002 or batch of 2003 doing good innovation, something like that? And significantly, if you look, it's not monetary individual. Generically, you may think that the guy will be demanding a couple of thousand of bucks, but they demanded that give us more monetary collective rewards, some more support systems, some more workshops, some more fabrication units, more collaborative support systems. And less on the policy part. And yes, we have been carry forwarding this journey since last 3 years. I think Professor Mehta is here, Sunil is here. From the industrial point of view, there are a couple of sectors, and Professor Rajnish is here. So I think we can get a good amount of input. These are a couple of things that we try to understand, but I think there will be many more to leverage which we have not tapped in this context. So, thank you.